Okay, hi. So thank you for coming in. I know we're still in the session, but um, can you go over a little bit about why you're here again?
Yeah, so I'm basically here because I have re-entered a relationship with my parents. Like I was
Mhm.
very distant from them for quite a while, but now I'm in need of like financial support for me and my daughter. So I basically want to like learn some tools and like things that I can help like keep my cool around my parents because we have like a pretty rough relationship. And so I'm just
Mhm.
a little anxious for how it's going to go to like see them once a week moving forward.
Yeah, and you say you have like a rough relationship. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so basically, when I was in high school, when I was 16, I got pregnant with my boyfriend at the time, and I had the baby, and they were not very supportive. They were disappointed in me for getting pregnant so young. And they also were disappointed that I didn't end up marrying Christopher and that I decided to raise my daughter on my own. So they have always, I think, kind of resented me for that. And they just think that I made a lot of bad decisions. But, I honestly think that I have done a really great job of raising Rory. And I'm proud of like how I've been as a mother, but they've really never been supportive of me. And I think they still kind of see me as a failure, which makes me feel shitty because like I am pretty proud of the life that I've made for myself and my daughter. Um, so previously, like most of Rory's life, we've only really been going there for like holidays, like Easter, Christmas, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But now Rory got into like a really nice school that requires like a lot of tuition. And my parents have a lot of money. So I just asked my mom like if they'd be willing to help me out and that I would pay them back every cent, but that I just didn't have the money to like put the down payment down. And she said yes, but under the condition that like Rory and I come to dinner every single Friday. So that is what we're doing, and I'm just not excited about it.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot at once.
Yeah.
Um, so I know it's like a little rocky of a relationship. Do you guys get along when you're in person, or is it just kind of cordial?
Um, I wouldn't even say that. Like, it's not hostile, but it's tense. Like, my mom will like take little jabs at me about how like I'm unmarried and like that I work in a hotel, which like I feel like she still sees me as like a maid in a hotel, which is how I started, but now I'm like managing it. Like I run the hotel now. So like
Mhm.
she will take little jabs at me for that. And like my dad will randomly like bring up my ex, Christopher, and like how well he's doing. And like they just they don't understand that like if Christopher and I had stayed together, we wouldn't have had the lives that we do. Like I think we would have like fought a lot and like it would have been bad for Rory because like we were 16, like we were so fucking young. Like I never thought I was gonna have to marry him. Like it just happened. And so yeah, there's a lot of tension and they love Rory. Like they don't ever come at her for anything, so that's good. But like there's definitely tension between like me, especially me and my mom, but me and my dad too.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that so maybe going forward, if you're open to more sessions, we can kind of like work through how to navigate the relationship with them.
Yeah.
'Cause it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, that like just seeing them kind of tenses you up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Just like being in their house, like it's the same house that I grew up in. So of course there's like all these weird memories tied to it and like
Mhm.
pregnancy happened there. Like it just that is stressful. And then yeah, I just don't really know how to like have a good relationship with them. Like I cope with everything with humor. Like I basically like make little jokes or like when I feel uncomfortable, I'll make a joke because that's just like how I know how to like deal with stuff. And then like my mom takes offense to it and it's just like I think our styles of communication are so opposite. Like she has literally no sense of humor. Like I don't think there's a funny bone in her body. So it's just like it's hard because like that's how I cope with things and Rory's the same way. Like we're always joking and stuff. So yeah, it's just I don't even remember what your question was, but it's it's a
No,
tough.
it's good. Maybe, yeah, it sounds like you guys have very different styles of communication.
Yeah.
So maybe kind of learning to navigate that when you're in the same room with them would be something to work on.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to do this. Like, Rory needs to go to school, and like I want her to get into Harvard, and this is like the way that she can do that. So yeah, I can't like get out of these dinners, so I need to figure out how to like not want to, I don't know, run away when I'm there. Like how I can like figure out how to make it work.
And how do you usually deal with it when you said your mom makes some jabs at you sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, we've only had one of these dinners so far, and it went like pretty poorly. Basically, like my dad started off by telling me all about Christopher and how great he was doing and blah blah
Mhm.
blah, and then my mom, like, I don't remember what she made some comment, and I hadn't told Rory yet that like I was borrowing money from them. And my mom knew that, and I asked her not to say anything, but then she did. And so then like my mom and I got in like this huge fight in the kitchen, and it was like a whole thing. So I guess I haven't really been managing the feelings
Yeah.
as they come up. I kind of got like explosive, and I had a fight, and I mean that just can't happen every week. So I need to figure out like how to not have that happen.
Yeah. So maybe we can work on maybe like some coping skills. So when it like happens in the moment, you can just kind of bring those coping skills up.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. Have you ever tried anything before that works for you well?
Not really. I mean, like I said, I kind of just like cope with humor. So like I'll make a joke, but in this case especially, that just like makes my mom more pissed off. So
Hmm.
that helps me feel a little bit better, but it definitely doesn't make the situation any better. So I think I need to come up with some alternatives.
Um, yeah. So maybe, I mean, it sounds like there's also like you're having the dinners in the house that has a lot of memories, whether they're positive or negative.
Mhm.
So maybe we can also work on like reframing the way that or maybe changing the way that you view the house and kind of like separating it from your parents, if that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I wouldn't say it would be possible to maybe like change the relationship with your parents, but I know we can definitely work on kind of navigating those thoughts and those like negative schemas and kind of work out how to go from there.
Hmm.
Um, and how would you feel? I mean, I would recommend maybe some mindfulness coping skills, but we can also go with definitely some other things. We can do some like calming techniques so you kind of calm down before you make a um, immediate quit back. So it kind of like lessens the tension.
Yeah, that would be good. Some sort of like, I don't know, something that will make me stop and think before I open my big mouth would probably be helpful.
Um, I know that everyone has their own way of coping with things, and humor is great. I use humor sometimes too, but um, yeah, I guess it also kind of definitely depends on context, right, and the situation.
Yeah. And this situation like just seems to make everything worse.
Um, do you use humor when you were growing up as well to cope with things?
Yeah, I was pretty combative like when I was a teenager, so yeah, I would use humor and, just kind of like storm out of situations or like tell my parents they didn't know what they were talking about, which most of the time they didn't anyways, but like yeah, that's always kind of been like my go-to is to like either retaliate or to make a joke.
Hmm. And when things get really heavy at like the dinners, when you guys get in like an explosive fight or whatever, um, how do you usually like I don't know, decompress afterwards when you get home?
Usually talking with Rory helps. She like is my best friend, and it helps me to talk with her. Usually like we'll swing by Luke's, which is like our favorite diner in town, and
Mhm.
like just like get a cup of coffee and maybe a piece of pie and just like debrief what just happened. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how we like chill out afterwards.
And how is Rory's relationship with her grandparents, with your parents?
It's fine. I've tried not to let my issues with them interfere with like how she views them. So she doesn't know a lot of like what went down when I was a teenager, and I want to keep it that way. Like, you know, when she's a little bit older, like we can talk about it, but their relationship is fine. Like there's never been any weirdness between them. It's more between me and them.
Mhm. So I feel like maybe something else we could work on is kind of um, separating the way that, because I know Rory and her relationship with her grandparents is one thing, and your relationship with your parents is another thing. So it sounds like they're all kind of like intertwined at the moment, even though not necessarily consciously.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, especially now that like we're gonna see them so much more often, it's definitely possible that like those relationship dynamics will change because like Rory just has never spent this much time with her grandparents like ever in her whole life. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm interesting to see like how that goes because she's so similar to me in a lot of ways. And I don't know. I feel like my parents don't like me that much. So maybe that means that they won't like Rory. But Rory is like way smarter and like I mean, she's basically perfect. Like she's smart and funny and beautiful. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you adore your daughter, which is great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
you will as well.
yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like also I know you mentioned earlier that they can cause you to not feel great when they make little jabs. So maybe something we can work on is kind of um, like making you more like confident in yourself. I'm sure that you are already, but kind of learning to accept yourself the way you are, so that their comments don't like get to you as much.
Yeah, that would be good. Maybe like little phrases or things I could like say to myself when they make those jabs so that I can remind myself like they don't know what they're talking about and like you are successful.
Yeah, I think that can also kind of tie in with the coping skills as well.
Yeah.
Um, and then maybe kind of like when it comes to challenging the thoughts about, the place you grew up in and your relationship with your parents, maybe we can kind of um, over time, of course, at your own pace, we can like unpack that and kind of see when like the clashing of heads started, and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, it probably would. I mean, this is my first time ever in therapy and clearly like I've had like a rocky go of it. So it probably would be good to like go back to that time in my life and like really process it because I feel like I just kind of like pushed through and like had Rory and was like, I'm gonna do this on my own, which I totally did. And then, but yeah, I haven't really stopped to think about like everything I went through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like you've kind of like been like a superwoman almost through it all, but
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I didn't really have a choice. I didn't want to rely on my parents because I knew they would hold it against me, and I needed to provide for Rory. So,
yeah, so I think the goals that we have currently will be pretty beneficial. And of course, we can go a couple sessions in, like reevaluate, see how you're feeling about them, and then kind of go from there.
sure.
Yeah, how does that sound?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That sounds great. So we can meet at the same time next week and kind of go over those and kind of go forward from there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.